Introduction. The Stoic power of silence. In today's world, where everyone's trying to be heard, something strange is happening. People talk over each other. They argue to prove they're right. They overshare online, hoping someone will finally understand them. They chase validation, explain endlessly, all just to feel seen. But here's a powerful truth. The Stoic doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't explain. Why? Because the Stoic knows that silence is not weakness, it's mastery. Small diamond core idea. What Stoicism teaches about silence. Great minds like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus didn't see silence as passive or empty. They saw it as a conscious decision, a form of control. In their view, the moment you over-explain or chase validation, you're not proving strength, you're handing over power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." And in many cases, having no reaction is the most powerful statement you can make. Epictetus taught, "We suffer not from events, but from our judgment about them." When we stay silent, we resist that emotional judgment. We stay anchored. Small diamond, the real strength behind silence. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're ignoring reality. It means you're choosing discipline over drama. It means you're choosing clarity over chaos. It means you're walking away, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. That kind of silence? It's not emptiness. It's inner strength. It's the refusal to let someone else define your peace. Small diamond, what viewers can expect. In this video, we're going to break down 6 timeless truths. Truths that reveal why silence is a Stoic superpower. And why those who master it never chase, never beg, and never explain. If you've ever been misunderstood, if you've ever felt the need to prove your worth to someone who wouldn't listen, this might just shift how you see power, peace, and personal strength. Let's begin. Part 1. Silence makes them feel your absence. Small diamond introduction. The paradox of silence. Let's begin with a paradox most people never notice. The less you say, the more they notice. In fact, silence often speaks louder than our most carefully chosen words. In a culture where constant communication is expected, where we text, call, comment, and post just to stay relevant, choosing silence sends a signal that is impossible to ignore. It shifts energy. It disrupts patterns. It makes people pay attention. Small diamond core insight. Why silence reflects self-worth. Silence isn't about shutting down or giving up. It's about self-possession, the kind that comes from inner clarity. When someone mistreats you, ghosts you, or pulls away, your instinct might be to chase. You feel the urge to explain, to make them see your worth. But here's the truth. If they cared, they would ask. If they respected you, they would reach out. Explaining yourself to someone who's already decided not to understand you isn't strength, it's surrender. Stoicism teaches us that detachment is not cruelty, it's clarity. And sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all. Small diamond psychological impact. What silence triggers in others. Silence isn't just a pause, it's a mirror. It reflects back people's behavior without needing confrontation. When you go quiet, those who expected you to plead or react are forced to confront themselves. They begin to wonder, why didn't he respond? Did she stop caring? What changed? This is where the power begins to shift. Because silence breaks the illusion of control. and most people are far more disturbed by your calm than by your anger. Small diamond conclusion: strategic silence as a Stoic tool. In the end, silence is not the absence of communication, it's a different kind of message. It says, I saw what you did, I felt what you did, but I value myself too much to explain it to you. This is why the Stoics mastered silence. They understood that dignity doesn't shout, it detaches, and in that detachment, others feel your absence, often more powerfully than they ever appreciated your presence. Part 2. Silence helps you hear the truth. Small diamond introduction: the noise of the modern world. We live in a world that rarely allows us to be still. When we feel pain, rejection, betrayal, confusion, our instinct is to run toward noise. We reach out to friends, scroll endlessly through social media, look for answers in all the wrong places. We believe that clarity will come from talking it out, or getting the right response from someone else. But the Stoics saw it differently. They believed that the answers we seek aren't found outside, they rise from within. In moments of intentional silence. Small diamond main insight: silence is a gateway to inner truth. True silence is not just the absence of sound, it's the creation of space. And in that space, something remarkable happens. Clarity returns. Instead of obsessing over what others think, you start to ask what you truly feel. Instead of trying to fix a broken relationship through explanation, you start to see what really broke in the first place. Hard truths begin to surface. They never really respected me. I just didn't want to admit it. I'm not angry because they left. I'm angry because I stayed too long. I don't need closure from them. I need peace within myself. These realizations don't come during heated conversations. They arrive in stillness, when the noise fades and your values begin to speak louder than your emotions. Small diamond psychological perspective: emotional discipline through stillness. From a psychological standpoint, silence is not avoidance, it's regulation. When we're in emotional distress, the brain seeks immediate relief, often through impulsive actions. But silence activates reflection rather than reaction, helping us access deeper reasoning over raw emotion. This is exactly what the Stoics practiced. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. That estimate, that judgment, becomes clearer in silence." Stoic silence, therefore, isn't about detachment from emotion. It's about separating what we feel from what we believe, so that we don't make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. Small diamond conclusion: the discipline of listening inward. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed, misunderstood, or hurt, remember this: you don't need to say more to feel better. You may, in fact, need to say nothing and listen more deeply to yourself. Because while the world pushes you to react, the Stoic waits, watches, and listens, and in that sacred stillness, the truth always rises. Part 3. Begging for closure is self-betrayal. Small diamond introduction: the illusion of closure. Let's be honest, we all crave closure. We want that final conversation, that honest explanation, that one moment where everything finally makes sense. But here's the question no one asks. What if the closure you're chasing is actually costing you your peace? In Stoic philosophy and in emotional psychology, there's a hard truth to face. The more you chase closure from someone who hurt you, the more power you give them over your healing. Small diamond, the hidden cost. Why chasing closure hurts more than it helps. Let's break down the emotional loop most people fall into. You get hurt. You demand clarity, an apology, or an explanation. They avoid or deflect. You feel even more rejected. So you reach out again, and the cycle continues. This doesn't lead to peace, it deepens the wound. Now ask yourself, if someone truly respected you, would you need to beg them to acknowledge your pain? If the answer is no, then why keep trying? The Stoics remind us of this. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself. And it starts when you stop waiting for their words and start trusting your own. Small diamond, the Stoic shift from reaction to acceptance. Real closure isn't dramatic. It doesn't come from long texts or final speeches. It comes from a quiet realization. What they gave me, that was all they had. And it wasn't enough. This kind of acceptance doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. You stop needing others to validate your pain. You stop hoping they'll become who they never were. You stop giving control over your emotions to someone who didn't protect them in the first place. This is the turning point, where silence becomes power. Not because you're avoiding the truth, but because you're finally ready to face it without them. Small diamond conclusion. Closure as an inner act. The next time you're tempted to reach out for one last conversation, ask yourself, is this for healing or for validation? Because the truth is, most people don't need closure. They need self-respect. And sometimes, that means accepting that the apology will never come, but peace still can. In the end, walking away quietly, without anger, without explanation, is not giving up. It's choosing yourself. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's Stoicism in action. Part 4. Silence exposes what words hide. Small diamond introduction. When words lose their meaning. In a world where people say one thing and do another, how do you know what's real? Words are powerful, but they can also be manipulative. Apologies can be rehearsed. Promises can be empty. Explanations can be rehearsed to avoid responsibility. But there's one thing that never lies. Silence. It reveals more than any speech ever could, and Stoic thinkers knew this well. Small diamond main insight. Silence as the ultimate mirror. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." This quote captures a timeless truth. People may say they care, but if their actions, especially in your silence, don't reflect it, the words mean nothing. Here's what happens when you go quiet. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending your boundaries. You stop trying to be understood. And that's when their true character is exposed. Who disappears without your attention? Who steps up without needing your approval? Who gets uncomfortable with your calm? Because they can no longer manipulate your energy? In stillness, their patterns become crystal clear. Small diamond Stoic perspective. Observation over argument. Stoicism teaches us to observe, not to react. You don't have to argue to see the truth. You don't have to justify yourself to be right. When you step back in silence, you create a vacuum, and in that space, people reveal themselves. Some will grow silent, too. Others will overcompensate, trying to provoke a reaction. The right ones will respond with consistency, not performance. That is where clarity lives, not in long debates, but in calm observation. Small diamond conclusion. Let energy speak. In the end, energy is louder than words. If someone values you, they'll show it, especially when you're not begging for it. If someone respects you, they'll prove it, not by what they say, but by how they act when you're no longer seeking their validation. So, the next time you're tempted to explain yourself one more time, ask instead, what are their actions saying in my silence? Because when you stop speaking, you start seeing, and that's when truth begins to speak, without a single word. Part 5. Not explaining yourself is confidence. Small diamond introduction. The illusion of explanation. Let me ask you something. Have you ever caught yourself over-explaining, just to be understood by someone who's already made up their mind about you? Maybe you tried to justify why you left, why you stayed, why you chose peace over drama. But here's the truth. The need to explain yourself is often a sign of insecurity, not strength. In contrast, silence, when intentional, becomes a powerful act of self-respect. Small diamond main insight. Detachment is not arrogance. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors." In other words, stop trying to manage other people's perceptions. If they've misunderstood you, and you've acted with integrity, you owe no further explanation. The people who get you won't need long speeches. The people who don't, likely never will. Explaining yourself repeatedly to those who aren't listening is like shouting into the wind. It exhausts you and changes nothing. And when you stop, when you detach, they might say you're cold or arrogant. But that's not arrogance. That's emotional discipline. It's knowing the difference between people-pleasing and inner peace. Small diamond Stoic perspective. Letting go of the performance. True confidence doesn't come from convincing others. It comes from not needing to. When you stay silent, you're saying, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I don't need your approval to live in alignment with my values. Silence doesn't mean you're avoiding the truth. It means you've become it. This is the Stoic way. Detach from opinions. Focus on virtue, and let your calm be your answer. Small diamond conclusion. The power of peaceful confidence. So the next time you're tempted to explain yourself, pause and ask, am I speaking from truth or from fear? Because when your inner world is grounded, you no longer chase understanding from the outside. You radiate it from within. That's not cold. That's confidence. And that's what Stoicism teaches. Speak when needed, but let your silence do the rest. Part 6. Detachment in silence teaches the lesson. Small diamond introduction. When silence says everything. Sometimes, the most powerful statement is walking away without saying a word. No text, no explanation. No final message, just silence. In a world where people expect drama, reactions, and closure, you choose stillness. And in that stillness, a lesson is delivered louder than any speech could ever be. Small diamond Stoic insight. Detachment over drama. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That's because much of our pain comes from the mind's refusal to let go. We replay, reanalyze, and obsess, hoping the other person will finally understand. But the Stoic path isn't about being understood. It's about being free. Detachment is not about coldness. It's about clarity. It says, I know my value. I won't stay where I'm disrespected. When you detach in silence, you refuse to feed the cycle of chaos. You send a stronger message than anger ever could. Small diamond, the power of your absence. Let's break a common myth that people only learn through confrontation. In truth, many learn through absence. When your presence is gone, they feel the weight of what they lost. When your voice is quiet, they begin to hear their own. When you remove yourself from dysfunction, the contrast becomes undeniable. Your silence becomes a mirror, not to punish but to reflect. Small diamond, final transformation, choosing peace over attachment. Here's the real transformation. It's not about teaching them a lesson. It's about teaching yourself what peace actually feels like. You stop begging for clarity. You stop proving your worth. You stop using conflict as a currency for connection. Instead, you choose silence. You choose dignity. You choose to let go, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself. And that is when the healing begins. Part 7. Silence protects you from emotional manipulation. Small diamond introduction, the hidden power of silence. Let's get honest for a moment. Not all battles are loud. Some of the most destructive ones happen in quiet rooms, behind smiling faces, disguised as conversations. What if I told you, silence isn't just strength, it's protection. In a world where emotional manipulation hides behind charm, concern, and clever words, staying silent can be your most powerful defense. Small diamond, how manipulators use your words against you. Here's what most people don't see. When someone gaslights you, they twist reality, subtly making you doubt your memory, your perception, even your sanity. When they guilt trip you, they weaponize your empathy to control your behavior. When they constantly shift blame, they rewrite the narrative so you're always the one at fault. And the moment you respond, when you try to explain, defend, or plead, they gain the upper hand. They use your words against you. They study your emotions to better control them. That's why silence isn't just absence, it's a shield. Small diamond, the Stoic defense. Withdraw from the game. The Stoics understood this deeply. You are not obligated to explain your boundaries. They'd say, especially to those who benefit from crossing them. Let's break that down. When you remain silent, you offer no emotional leverage. You don't flinch when they provoke. You don't chase when they withdraw. You don't give them material to manipulate. And that terrifies them, because now they have nothing to twist, no weak spot to exploit. Small diamond conclusion, silence is clarity, not fear. So next time someone tries to pull you into a cycle of blame, guilt, or confusion, don't fight it with explanations. Don't try to fix what they've broken. Just step back. Let your silence say, I see your game, and I'm not playing it anymore. Not out of fear, but out of clarity, out of wisdom, out of self-respect. Because in a world full of noise, the person who stays grounded in silence is the one truly in control. Shall we move to the final principle of Stoic silence? The art of walking away, not to hurt others, but to protect your peace. Part 8. Silence builds an aura they can't ignore. Small diamond introduction. In a world that shouts, be the one who whispers. Have you ever noticed the most captivating person in the room isn't always the loudest? They're the one who says the least, but carries themselves with presence. They don't overshare. They don't over-explain. They don't seek approval. And yet, everyone watches them. In today's culture of noise, where everyone's broadcasting their lives 24/7. There's something powerfully magnetic about restraint. That is the paradox of Stoic silence. By saying less, you draw more attention. Small diamond, the psychology of mystery. Why silence attracts attention. Let's break this down psychologically and philosophically. Overexposure kills curiosity. When someone shares every thought, emotion, and opinion, there's nothing left to discover. But when someone holds back, just enough to leave a question mark, our minds become intrigued. We wonder, what do they know that I don't? Or, why are they so grounded when everyone else is reactive? This mystery builds aura, and aura creates influence. From a Stoic standpoint, this isn't manipulation, it's self-possession. It's the calm confidence that comes from not needing to be understood to feel valid. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Small diamond, the energy of stillness, a presence that commands. When you walk into a room and you're deeply rooted in who you are, you don't need to speak loudly. Your energy speaks first. That energy says, I'm not here to chase attention. I'm not here to prove anything. I know who I am, and that's enough. And ironically, that's what makes people lean in. They want to figure you out, but they can't. They want access to your mind, but you stay selective. That's what builds true influence, not from performance, but from presence. Small diamond conclusion. Be the one they can't ignore. In a world where everyone screams to be seen, the one who remains composed becomes unforgettable. Because stillness is rare, and what is rare becomes valuable. So don't feel pressure to overshare. Don't explain yourself just to fill silence. Let your calm become your calling card. The Stoics knew, true power never announces itself. It simply enters the room and changes it. Let's keep going. In the final part of this series, we'll explore the ultimate expression of Stoic silence, walking away not to punish, but to evolve. Stay with me. Conclusion. Silence is your final word. Small diamond introduction, beyond words. There is power. Let's be clear, Stoicism is not about being cold or distant. It's about clarity. It's about emotional self-discipline. And above all, it's about choosing your response instead of being ruled by reaction. In a world that encourages us to speak louder, explain more, and react instantly, choosing silence isn't weakness. It's a decision, a commitment, a final word. Small diamond, the benefits of silence. What you gain by saying less. Every time you hold your tongue when provoked. Every time you choose calm over chaos. Every time you resist the urge to prove yourself. You are not losing the battle. You are winning yourself back. Let's break this down. Inner peace. You are no longer at the mercy of every insult or misunderstanding. Your mood is no longer tied to other people's opinions. Self-worth. You stop outsourcing your value to how others see you. You no longer need validation to feel whole. Unshakable power. The less you explain, the more powerful your presence becomes. Not because you're hiding, because you've mastered control. This is the Stoic way. Not suppressing emotion, but training it. Not escaping conflict, but rising above it. Small diamond final affirmation. Let silence be your legacy. If you take away one thing from this entire video, let it be this. My silence is my last word, and my most powerful one. You don't always need the last line in a debate. You don't need to win every argument. What you need is inner alignment. a sense of peace so deep that even chaos can't shake it. And that's what silence gives you. It's not just a pause. It's a decision to rise, to lead, to live on your own terms. Thank you for watching. And remember, in a world full of noise, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say absolutely nothing. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs the power of silence today. Drop a comment. What moment taught you the strength of staying silent? Your story might be the one that inspires someone else to reclaim their peace.